It is 1938 and Europe is one step away from igniting the most catastrophic war in human history. Among the most vulnerable, Europe's Jews. Anti-Semitism had become law, synagogues were torched, Jewish businesses destroyed, and violence spread like wildfire. But in London, a young stockbroker named Nicholas Winton quietly stepped into history. He would go on to save 669 children from Nazi-occupied Czechoslovakia. And yet he said, "I regret that I couldn't do more." This video is sponsored by no one, but your subscription would be a great support. By 1938, Hitler's regime was forcing Jews to immigrate, but most borders stayed closed. Some countries opened their doors, but only with strict conditions. Jewish families were trapped in a tightening noose of Nazi control. Then came the night of broken glass, November 9, 1938. Across Nazi territory, mobs smashed Jewish windows, burned synagogues and sent a terrifying message. This was only the beginning. Winton was preparing for a winter sports holiday when he received a letter from his friend Martin Blake in Prague. "I have a most interesting assignment, don't bother bringing your skis." Instead of snow, Winton walked into a humanitarian crisis. Nicholas Winton wasn't a politician, he wasn't even a trained humanitarian. Born in London to German Jewish parents who had converted to Christianity, he knew what fear looked like. But he also knew the cost of inaction. In Prague, Winton saw hundreds of Jewish families desperate to get their children to safety. The night of broken glass had shocked the British government into opening its borders, but only for unaccompanied children and still under strict conditions. Winton decided to act. From his room in the Europa Hotel with Blake, Trevor Chadwick and Doreen Wariner, he organized the Czech branch of Kindertransport, a rescue effort that brought children to Britain. He visited makeshift refugee camps, tent held together with rope and blankets. Families stood in mud, clutching photos, begging Winton to take their children. Back in London, Winton returned to his job at the stock exchange by day. From 4 p.m. to midnight, he transformed into a one-man refugee operation, filing papers, writing permits, organizing rail routes across hostile countries. The British government required a £50 guarantee per child, a huge sum in 1939. Winton pleaded in newspapers, visited homes, showed hunting photos of the children, and raced to raise the money. And he wasn't alone. Many British families, poor themselves, stepped forward to take in children they had never met from a country they had never seen. Meanwhile, Trevor Chadwick remained in Prague, continuing to escort children onto the trains, often under the watchful eyes of the Gestapo. 8 transports left Prague, each carrying dozens of children towards safety. Among them was Vera Gissing, who had said goodbye to her parents at a train station in Prague. "I shall never forget the waving goodbye to my parents and suddenly feeling very afraid because I caught the expression of fear on my parents' tear-stained faces. There were German soldiers all around us," she recalled. She never saw them again. But then came the 9th train. It was the largest group yet, over 250 children. Their documents were ready, their suitcases packed. On September 1st, 1939, Germany invaded Poland. 2 days later, Britain declared war. Borders closed, trains stopped. That final group never made it out. Winton would carry the weight of that 9th train for the rest of his life. Winton returned to his quiet life. He never told anyone about what he had done. Not even his wife. It wasn't until decades later when she found his scrapbook that the story finally emerged. Inside, names, photos, travel documents, meticulously kept. He never considered himself a hero, just someone who saw children in danger and acted. For nearly 50 years, Winton's story was unknown to the world. But the media picked it up after his wife made a discovery. Eventually, Winton was invited to appear on a BBC television program. He thought it was just an interview. What he didn't know was that the audience around him was filled with the very children he had saved, now grown with children and grandchildren of their own. One by one they stood up. Winton sat silently, overwhelmed, eyes glistening. The world finally saw the man who had quietly saved hundreds and never asked for recognition.